It's Adam here from Catch Reports, and today we're going to be looking at the KD rig. We're going to be looking at the Corders version of this rig. There are a few kicking about, but basically it requires a coated braid and you're using a neutral buoyant bait with curved shank hooks. It's a very special rig developed to maximise the chance of hooking into a fish once it takes the bait. So I'm using a Korda N-Trap Soft 20-pound breaking spray in weedy green. This stuff works really well, had a lot of success on this. It's crucial for this rig. You need a coated braid so you can strip some off and have a softer piece near the hook itself. So we're going to take off a length of this, depends on how long you want your rig to be. So take a good length of the coated braid. Let's cut that off. Okay, so now the first thing you're going to need to do is you're going to need to strip the braid or the coating off the braid. And for that you're going to need one of these. This is a Korda braid stripper. It doesn't have to be Korda, there are a few people that make these, but you need one for this rig. Really good bit of kit. It will strip off the braid effortlessly and you know that the line hasn't been damaged underneath, it's just taken the coating off. So basically you put it into the slot, you pull the coating off. Do it, wouldn't do it all at once if you're kind of stripping the braid. Do it in a few, perhaps 2 or 3 times. If you try and do it all at once, you might struggle and you'll end up just kind of bunching all the coating up and not being able to get it off the hook link itself. So I'm going to strip around, I suppose, around 4 inches or so off of this coated braid. So the first thing you do is just tie a simple overhand loop knot. So just double the line up, and then we're just going to tie that in an overhand knot, and I'm going to use a baiting needle just to pull that through. Makes it a little bit easier. It can be a bit fiddly. There we go. So there's our loop knot. Really simple. Same sort of technique as creating any kind of standard hair rig really. Knotless knots. The first thing we're going to do is take our Korda curved shank hook. Now it's really important with this rig that you're using curved shank hooks. They're designed obviously with quite an aggressive curve, and the idea being that when the line straightens or tightens up in the water, it will really exaggerate the action of the hook and should increase the chances of hooking into the carp's mouth. And this is a Korda curved shank size 10. Normally I use size 8s, but for this demo we're just going to stick with a 10, keep it simple. So the first thing you want to do is take your coated braid end, so you've got your knot at the other end, and basically thread it through from shank to point end of the hook, so it's going from back to front as it were. I'll pull this all the way through. There we go. Now the next important thing you need to do is you need to get your hook bait. I mean, I would normally be using perhaps 10 to 12 mil boilies depending on the venue. So the next thing you want to do is you want to take the KD rig, you actually want to put a bait on it so that you can make sure it sits correctly. Now for the purpose of this I'm just going to use a piece of zig foam. Now I know that a 10 mil boilie is around, I suppose, that sort of size by the time the hair's on. So what you want to do, you want to now take your hook and you want this to be touching just the top of the hook. So that's the length of your hair. That's how you determine the length of your hair rig. So we're now going to pinch this, and now you do 2 turns around the shank. So with the kind of tail end, wrap it 2 times or whip it 2 times around the hook. Now pull the hair rig up and then go a further 5 times around the shank of the hook away from the knot. There we go. Now the next important part of this rig is to thread the line the way you came originally, so that's from back to front, so it wants to come back down the hook. You can see the point is down here somewhere, back down the hook, so it's exaggerating the action of that hook. If I just thread this through. A little bit fiddly with the size 10, easier with the size 8. There we go. So now we're going to pull this through. There we go. And you're left with something that looks like that. So you can see already that that hook is hanging very low, and that's really important because you're using a neutrally buoyant bait, and the idea is that you're really increasing the chances when that tightens of that kind of digging in and hooking onto the fish's mouth. So that's pretty much it for the KD rig. Just going to finish this off by tying it to a swivel. For this I'm going to use a trilling knot, which is just basically looping the line twice through the eye of the swivel. Just to prevent any line slippage. So I'm going to take a lighter. Okay, just blob that. There we go. So there we have it. Here's your KD rig. Now what you're going to need to do, you're going to need to put a split shot on the hair. This will ensure that the hook stays on the lake bed or river bed, wherever you're fishing, and the neutrally buoyant bait will just waft around. There we go. Right. So what we're going to do is just going to take the split shot, put it close towards the hook, doesn't want to be too far up the hair rig. There we go. So by the time you now get your buoyant bait on the hook, let's thread this on. As I said, I know that a 10mm boiler will sit around there, so now the hook will sit on the bottom. This will waft around. The second the carp picks it up, you can see instantly that is very aggressively pointing down. That should easily hook into the fish's bottom lip. And obviously the reason for stripping it back is you've got a really supple piece of line here and a stiffer bit there, which just encourages it to kind of bend over. So there you have it, really simple. I've caught a lot of fish on this. Obviously if you want to stay up to date with this, you can follow us on Twitter, and our Twitter address is just @catchreports, and we'll be posting more information on Facebook, which is facebook.com/catchreports. Let's hope you catch some fish, and we look forward to seeing your photos. Cheers.